Hello everyone and welcome to this afternoon webinar about Microsoft Office 2010 EOS. Your presenter today will be Sebastian Lennartson. If you have any questions during this webinar, please don't hesitate to write in the chat and then Sebastian will answer them afterwards. Enjoy!
So, hello everybody. My name is Sebastian and I'm here from Microsoft as I am their commercial trainer. So I'm super happy to be here with you all today. And yeah, as you're all in listener mode, please just check that you should not be an issue, but please check that your mic is muted for the best audio experience for everyone. But anyways, today's seminar is going to be centralized around the end of support of Microsoft Office 2010. And we're going to dig into a little bit about how we can actually turn that into an opportunity as Microsoft Office 2010 is going end of support on the 13th of October. So you might have some questions coming up and let's look into what we can do about that. So let's get started. The agenda for today is that I would like to start off by just looking briefly into what the effects will be when the end of support comes and how it will affect our customers' business. But also I want to turn it into something positive. We're going to look into why they should actually choose Microsoft 365 and upgrade now that Office 2010 is going out of support. And why that is a mutually beneficial step to take for your customers. Also going to touch upon which 365 or Office 2019 alternative that is right for your customers and how to help them navigate. And also, as a final note, we're going to look a little bit into how to increase online sales on especially Microsoft 365. But I'm going to leave that as a cliffhanger and get back to what I mean by that later. So, first and foremost, what we got to look at here is, as Office 2010 is going end of support by October 13th, we might actually experience a lot of customers coming to us and asking, why are you doing this and what is going on? It is not to be underestimated that there might be some not irritation, but some questions around it, and of course people who are less not pleased around about the fact that it's going end of support. But it is happening for a reason. Of course, we want our customers to be happy, and we want them to keep on doing business as they always have done. But business is rapidly changing, and as it is changing, we need to think about what we are doing and how we are doing it. Office 2010 has been around since 2010. That's 10 years ago. And if we think about it, what are we taking for granted today that we didn't even have 10 years ago? Me, myself, for an example, I did not have a phone with a touchscreen. Or my laptop, it was mainly used as a stationary. It never left the desk because it was simply too heavy. But nowadays we can see that a lot has happened. Looking into yesterday, as you all know, we were much more bound to physical spots. We met at the office, we worked at the office, we were sitting very close to each other. But as you know, a lot has happened. So when we talk about the technology and workspace of tomorrow, we might just as well say the workspace of today. We are looking at global employees that require flexibility, innovation, and a lot of other things that we simply can't host and facilitate with Office 2010, hence the end of support. So we do have the emerging need, and we want to be where our customers need us to be. We can't stay and be the heavy weights on their shoulders. We want to lift their operations up, and that's why we're shifting the end of support from 2010 into something positive, because there is an alternative, and that's Microsoft 365. And Microsoft 365 is really our hero product, and it is very much resemblant to the same kind of office package that the customers are used to. You still get Word, you still get Excel, you still get PowerPoint. So one might wonder, why is there a new name? Why is there an end of support on one which is really resembling the other? Well, Microsoft 365 has developed a lot, and that's also why we changed the name. And as we usually say, it's a change of name for now, but as we'll see coming into the future, there is so much going on. So it's really a new product that is really good for especially small and medium businesses. And so what is it that the customer gets when they shift from Office 2010 to Microsoft 365? Well, first and foremost, we want to look into creativity. Well, with such things such as editing and writing suggestions in the Word that they're normally used to, well, with editing and writing suggestions, they can get even more efficient and even better. They get data analyst insights in Excel, and they get designer and layout ideas in PowerPoint. I'm going to show you a little bit more what I mean with this on some demos in a while, but for now, just keep that in mind. There's a lot of creativity in Microsoft 365, and we want to help the customer to make it easy to be creative and efficient. But there's also the security aspect, because you need to keep in mind when you have a business that you need to be, for example, GDPR compliant, you need to follow all the safety regulations, and remember that your data, even though no matter how big or small it is, it belongs to you, and it's super important that you keep it safe. When Office 2010 goes out of end of support, it means that we will no longer send out the necessary updates on security features. We won't protect it to the new kind of malwares that comes in. So in time, you'll have an unstable and unsecure Office package if you don't shift up to, for example, Office 2019 or Microsoft 365. So from a business perspective, but also from a GDPR and security perspective, it's really important that you have that you don't stay with Office 2010. So Microsoft 365 is all about protection. It's all about security because your data belongs to you. And you can feel ensured that your data is safe with Microsoft 365. There's no loose ends. We protect everything. And that's really, really important today. So when you're uploading your files to OneDrive, you know that they're just as safe there as they are anywhere else on your computer. Or when you're chatting with your team on Teams, well, then you know that you're still in GDPR compliance, you're still in the maximum security. And would anybody have the, I don't know how, but would they be able to get into your computer? They'll only find encrypted data. So you can sleep with the ease of mind at night. It's also a lot about organizing, because that's really important. We can see that there's so much changing right now. There's so much demand on people to do more in, well, not less time, but in the same time. And how do we manage this without going insane? Well, I'd start off by organizing. And there's also some great features like time off or me time, where you put into your calendar time where no one can disturb you. So if you know that you need to focus, or your customer knows that they need to focus on a project, they can just schedule the me time, either recurrent or as a standalone me time, so that they can focus on what's important for them. But there's also the smart features like the focused inbox, so you know what to focus on during the workday and what you can look at, perhaps the email newsletters that you can look on later after the workday. But there's also the final part, which is accomplishing. And as we've seen in 2020, it is very important to have your team, to meet people. But unfortunately, we haven't been able to. And that's why I think also Microsoft 365 is a really, really good alternative for every customer out there, because alone is strong, but nobody's stronger than the team. So with Microsoft 365, we make sure that no matter where people are and no matter how their work situation is, they can still teamwork. And that is done partly via SharePoint, partly via OneDrive, and partly, of course, via Teams. So all very nice features, and I'm going to touch a little bit more on those later. So what does the customer get if, let's say, that they want to swap from Office 2010 to Microsoft 365? Well, they got a lot of helpful apps, cloud-based, that can really improve their operations. For example, SharePoint, where they can have everything stored so they know that they can access it from no matter what unit they're on. Because it's safe to say that I don't think you're always on this, bring your laptop, but sometimes stuff come up work related and you need to get into that that PowerPoint or that spreadsheet immediately. And that's why SharePoint's so great. You got everything immediately for you to access, just as if you were on your work computer. You got Teams, of course, the meeting platform on Microsoft. It's so good. And also you got these nice features such as editing immediately in Teams so that you can collab while talking without having to go to another browser window or leaving the software at all. And also bookings, which I'm going to talk about later, but a great feature which I think that all small and medium businesses could benefit from using a lot more. And then, of course, as I said, the Windows app, the Excel app, the PowerPoint app, the Outlook app, all of these very, very strong brands that, of course, many of your customers already know about and already are using in Office 2010. But it's safe to say that a lot has happened on these apps and they will be so much more efficient with Word in Microsoft 365 than they are in, for example, Office 2010 Word. Because it may resemble a lot, but there's so much AI features that makes it so much greater than the regular Word that they're used to. So a really nice upgrade there for your customers. There's also the fact that it is for one person and it works on Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android. But we can't quite say that it is that limited. If you buy Office 2019, well, then it only works on one unit. But this, on the other hand, works for one person. That means that you can actually use it for your private computer. You can use it for your phone. You can use it for your iPad. You can use it for your other reading pad, wherever you need it, however you need it. So it's great value for the customers, and many customers actually forget this fact. So they go and they buy Microsoft 365 for their business, and then they go and they buy an Office SKU for their private computer or their daughter's computer. But actually, you could just integrate it all in Microsoft 365. But keep in mind though that if you share it with another person, then it acts as the same person, so you access the same data. But you could actually, for example, if you're a carpenter and have a small business and you have somebody who's part-time employed, well, of course, you could have so that he can access your spreadsheets or PowerPoints and collab with you without having to buy that many SKUs. And of course, as it's an annuality, you get the exclusive monthly upgrades and new features, so you make sure that you're always up to date and always with the latest and greatest. So I'm just going to touch upon some of the features that you actually find in Microsoft 365 and how we could pitch this in the best possible way, because there are a lot of great features and they're cool, but until you fully learn how to incorporate them, they will only be cool. I want to make them useful. So please remember, with Microsoft 365, yeah, of course, it's the chat and calls for today's meetings. Yeah, you can collab with your team, you can have multiple teams, you can make sure to stay on top of operations. But you also have the integrated Office 365 apps. So if you check files, which is on the left-hand menu, you can actually go in and write on a spreadsheet or edit a PowerPoint in real time whilst you're in the call with your colleagues discussing how to create a product pitch or whatever you need. And it's also, of course, customizable so that you can twerk it whichever suits your organization, and you can make sure that it fits your specific need or your customer specific needs. And then finally, which I mentioned before, it's enterprise security, it's compliant to everything out there, and it's manageable if you have an IT expert that want to make sure that everything is, you get an overview of everything, and that includes Teams. So every information that passes on Teams is just as secure as everything else. So you don't have to worry about those aspects as well, because that is something that people tend to forget when they go to third-party apps for communication. Many times they are compliant and secure, but we can't always guarantee that. But if your customer chooses Microsoft 365, then they can rest ease knowing that everything is secure. Secondly, I wanted to mention Microsoft Bookings. And it is an app which has been around. And I think that some are using it, but I think there's a huge upscale potential. Because for SMBs, there is so much you could do with Microsoft Bookings. For example, let's say that you have a small business, a carpenter service, and you want to make sure that you get customers, right? That's the only way to make more money. Often they are asked to email you, which of course, yeah, that's fine, but there's a lot of email communication before you actually set the date and you come by and start up the project. Well, with Microsoft Bookings, that would be so much easier. The customers could just immediately book a time slot which suits them, which you pre-hand has shown suits you. You could also integrate it with the price so that they know what the hourly cost would be. For example, if you have a different tariff in the afternoon or in the morning, then you could also integrate that so it calculates and shows the right prices depending on what time they book. But it's also about decreasing no-shows. Of course, really important. Let's say that you have a carpenter service and you're going to someone's house, and that person who you're going to help build, well, they're not home. Then that's not only bad for them, that's bad for you as well, because you want to be as efficient as possible and not just stand there and go home and the whole day is wasted. But with Microsoft Bookings, we make sure that you stay on top of things by sending out reminders, making sure that both parties are aware of the meeting that's going to take place. It also makes it super easy for you to manage all of your appointments and get a good overview of what your schedule's like, as you can see in the window here. But then the final and perhaps most important part, which is the fact that you can connect Microsoft Bookings. And connect, what does that mean? It means a lot of things. Well, in this case, it means that you can integrate it, for example, into a Facebook page. And I think that's a huge potential for small and medium businesses so that they can get that really exclusive, really nice customer experience for customers wanting to book their services by doing it immediately integrated through their website or Facebook or wherever they need it. So Microsoft Bookings is great whenever you talk to a small or medium business owner or employee. Then of course, PowerPoint. And I think we've all been in those situations where we might just have forgotten that there is a meeting in 5 minutes, which was supposed to include some sort of a slide, some sort of a presentation. I know at least I have. So, well, we got our savior here. PowerPoint designing ideas is the best. If you haven't tried it yet, please go and check it out. And it works as such that you write something, you write the topic that you're going to talk about in the title, and then you just click design ideas. And it will prompt you with thousands of stock images and give you ideas. It's both still and moving footage that you can use for your presentation to really make it look as if it's been hours put into it. So PowerPoint design ideas is a great integration, and it's a part of what makes Microsoft 365 so efficient for users and why it is not like the Office 2010 that some customers are used to. Secondly, let's say that you actually managed to get this presentation in place in 2 minutes, then you got 3 minutes. What are you going to do with your time? Well, if you're, for example, going to have it in English, there's a great opportunity to actually to actually rehearse it prior. So all you do is that you click start rehearsing, and AI analyzes your speech and makes sure that it comes with feedback that is relevant. For example, if you use, as stated here, you use too many well, PowerPoint can help you become an even better speaker, just like that, immediately integrated into your presentation. So really nice software, really good specs that you can use and show your customers, and they will see the benefits of switching to Microsoft 365. But as I mentioned before, it's not only about Microsoft 365. There's also the Office 2019 Home and Business. Why do we have these two? Well, of course, as I mentioned, Microsoft 365 is our hero. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to offer the Office 2019 Home and Business, because not everybody is ready for a transaction or able to take a transaction towards a cloud-based solution. And we don't want to just discard those customers. We want to be there for them and offer them a product. And Office 2019 is a really nice product for that. So what you get is a really simple software, or not simple, but a really good software where you're included with the basics that you need for operations. For example, if you only need to make a Word presentation and a PowerPoint pitch every once in a while and make the most simplistic like spreadsheets of economic calculus, well, then Office 2019 works just fine. Because if we just offer Microsoft 365, then we might lose those customers that aren't cloud ready or aren't able to take the step towards the cloud. And we want to be there for our customers the whole journey. So of course we have to offer Office 2019 as well. And it's a really good software. It resembles a lot of Office 2010, so users will recognize everything, and it's a one payment only. So in that way, it also resembles Office 2010. And what you get for the one-time payment, of course, is the classic Office apps, and it works on one unit only. And you can get the technical support during installation. If you go and check online, you will find a whole variety of price range. There is everything from high to low. And I just want to raise a finger of notice here that if your customers questions about it, just make sure that, of course, there are some people that can actually give really good discounts, but the most probable thing, when it sounds too good to be true, is that it actually is. It is not authentic Office that some are offering out there if you search online, but there is actually just piracy copies of Office. So that's good for your customers to know and for you to know as well. If you get caught with the question, why is this so much more expensive than the other one that I found? Well, it has to do with being authentic or not. So really good to just keep in mind. But anyways, if you buy Office 2019 Home and Business, you'll make the transaction, you'll stay compliant, you'll make sure that you have the great features with AI and PowerPoint Designer, everything you might need. However, if you feel like boosting your business, if you have the possibility to take the step towards the cloud, I highly encourage people to do so. Because with Microsoft 365 Business Standard, you get everything that I've mentioned today. You get all of the great features with booking, you get Teams, you get SharePoint, you get also 1 terabyte of OneDrive storage per user. And then you actually get a domain also from GoDaddy or via GoDaddy. So you get 1 year of domain included, which is a great pitch for an upsell on a newly started small or medium business. And then there's always the technical support. So you can have an ease of mind that Microsoft got you covered and you don't have to sit with errands, but you can just redirect them to us. And the payment is as an annual fee instead of the one-time cost only, but it offers a much greater value. So I highly recommend Microsoft 365 for anybody who's able and want to take the step toward a cloud-based solution. And then if we just want to look in, because Microsoft 365, there is a big information gap, and I just want to show you some stats around that. It is actually as such that 50% are not aware that Microsoft 365 subscriptions can be used on multiple devices. And I really need your help out there to get this information out there, because it is a great thing about Microsoft 365 that it offers such great value. So please keep this in mind, keep these stats in mind when talking to customers, because sometimes you might want to feel like, yeah, that's too basic of an information. But as it shows, 61% are not aware that they have 1 terabyte of cloud space on OneDrive. So also super important, because many are actually paying X amount of money each month to another provider just for the cloud space, which actually is included in OneDrive with Microsoft 365. So that's a really important message that you always can mention when talking to customers, because it is a great value in this product. And the final part is that 65% are not aware that Microsoft 365 can be shared between different users. So also a very, very high number, and why it's so important to keep that in mind when talking to customers, so that they feel like they get the maximum potential out of their software that they bought. But I mean, we got different options. There is a lot of information out there. How do we ensure customers buy the right version of M365 or Office 2019? Well, one of the main things that we need to keep in mind when a customer visits our website is that they may not know exactly what they're going to get. And statistics shows that it's, I think, around 50% of all customers, or 44% of all customers are of the belief that Office is included when they purchase a computer. So let's say that your customer want to buy a computer, they click it, they get it home, then they realize there's no Office. There's a big chance that you actually lose your customer to a competitor, or let's say that they actually know Office is not included and they're on your website. Well, sometimes customers don't know exactly which one to get. What do they do? Either they go to a search engine of their choice and they Google or Bing it, or they search your website and they got multiple alternatives. And sometimes either that information is just too much, or they can digest it and they buy the right version, everything's fine. But that's not fine, because that's not the best customer experience out there. We want to create a really smooth customer experience, and we definitely don't want you to lose business potential to competitors. So what I want to bring up is, well, how can we ensure that you buy the right version of M365, and how can we increase the Office sales with M365? Well, the answer is right here. It's called Office Attach Widget, and it's a really nice feature. It is for free, and we are offering it to all of our partners and partners, so that you just reach out to us. I'm going to prompt you with the contact details later, and we will help you with integrating this logo, which sits on the product page, which says Buy Office. When you hover the logo, you see the suggested SKUs from Office that goes with the computer. So the customers don't have to Google or Bing it. They don't have to visit a competitor's website. They don't have to leave the shopping bag and go onto your search function on your website. Everything is fully integrated, and they get a fully smooth and good experience when buying Office to their computer. And when we did statistics on this, we've actually seen there's around a 40% increase in sales just by adding this logo. So if you want to know more, you can either read more on our webpage, or you can contact Evelina, who's on Microsoft, and you can see her email here. So if you're interested in any way, if you want to know more, if you want to implement it tomorrow, just reach out to Also or to Evelina, and they can help you with that. Well, and I'm not going to leave this slide just yet. I'm going to give you a few seconds. But I just want to mention as well the other great thing that you could do if you want to help your customers navigate Office 2019 M365, the whole jungle of products that we are offering, because we need to have a broad product offering for our customers. What you could do then, and I'm going to leave the slide, so just make sure that you take a photo of this or write it down if you want to know more about the Office Attach widget. So what you could do is that you could also sign up or go back into Expert Zone if you're really already signed up. On Expert Zone, you can learn a lot. We have curated the information for you so that everything that you might need to know around Microsoft and Windows and Server is on there. So expertzone.com is really a good asset for you to use if you want to know more about Microsoft or Windows or Server for that instance as well. And it is a lot of the main perks of it is about that all of the information is curated and relevant. So for example, when you Bing or Google something, you might risk losing the relevance, and you don't know if the information is completely reliable. Well, with Expert Zone, you can once again rest at ease because everything is very much relevant and very much the right information that you might need when talking to customers. So with that being said about Expert Zone, that was actually it for me. If anybody has any questions, just prompt them into the chat and I'd be happy to try to answer them. Other than that, I think that was it for me, and it doesn't seem like there is anything in the chat, but I will very much say thank you so much for taking your time and joining me here today. I hope you had a good time. I hope you found it interesting, and please don't hesitate to reach out to me or also or Evelina once again if you have any questions on anything that has been talked about today. But if that is nothing more to say, then I would like to say thank you for participating today.